Hey everybody, it's Jordan of PDQ.com. I'm here with Lex and Shane, and we're going over kind of logic we can add to some packages to make them just maybe remove a little bit of input needed for that. Don't worry, all logic was provided by other people. It's not anything that I came up with. So I guess, all right. I guess speaking of logic, instead of going into the topic at hand, I want to talk about we have a new release of our product. It's just not even going to hit my point at the start. That's where I'm going. 19.2.137 is out.
Didn't they make a bunch of performance enhancements on that?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of new features, but the performance enhancements are pretty sweet. I've been messing with it. I'm pretty happy with it. One thing they did add is they put scan profiles right here, just on the main library tree.
I love that. Now it's easy to find.
I do videos on those all the time, and I can never find scan profiles. I'm like Homer Simpson with the horn. You need one here, 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 and here. You can never find one, you're mad.
Yep.
But the other thing is performance. So we just kind of show that this is I'm checking the old one. And the service this has 1,000 computers. They're not real computers, so there's no actual scan data. So it's not a real environment, but we just add a lot so we can kind of see. And the service, when I first went over, you saw it was around that 10% there. It goes down, it just kind of hovers around there. If we go to Noob here, it's just sitting at about 0.5 and 0. So this is with 1,000 machines, but there's no data, there's not a lot in there, and there's a significant CPU save just on that one. So if you have a larger environment, or even not, if you notice a lot of CPU usage, this build I think is going to be exactly what you want most.
You know, the nice thing about that is it's, looking at the database and it's doing it more timely, I guess, or more precisely as opposed to just on a timing schedule. Isn't that right, Colby?
Yep, we changed it so that collections are only updated when they need to be. Previously, they were pretty much updated constantly, and that's why the CPU was always going, even if you didn't have any scans running.
And that's why we could use just fake machines at this point to demonstrate that.
Yep, yeah, and we have quite a few developers at this point, each one smarter and better looking than the last, and this is kind of a priority for them at this point where they can really dive in.
Excellent.
All right, I guess now I can talk about logic.
Logic, you and me,
I guess we
logic.
can do that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the first thing is we have a lot of steps in our conditions. We'll just come up and open, we'll say 7-zip here. There's a lot of PowerShell conditions you can set that basically say if it has this, do this. We do a lot for you. So there's part of a collection, if there's a registry key that exists or doesn't exist, or it searches for a file. Just a lot of things you can do on there, but we can't catch everything. So kind of our best bet for that one, or that we could think of, or kind of a good example is sometimes you need to know if a process is running. And we have the process scanner, but that is, updates on the machine, there's no table that you can make a collection off of out of that one. You could scan the processes with the PowerShell scanner, but that's only going to be as good as your last scan. So.
And again, I mean, if you're going to target this using deploy at a machine specifically, we want to look at that machine stuff. So This is what we came up with.
Yep. So this one, if you just start with step 1 and you do just a get process, and here we're looking for Microsoft Edge. It's going to go in there and basically says, look for that process. If the process exists, it's going to say, it's going to exit with 1, or you could put whatever message you want in there. Just kind of lets you know why that exit out there, and you could put that as a failure code, whatever number you put in there. Just kind of say that it is running, or if it's not, it'll just basically write process not running, which will be in your output log, and move on to the next step, so you can see you're not messing with anything. I
just want to check the logic on this, right? So we want to make sure process is not running, right?
Yeah, and Edge is a really bad example because with web browsers, those will update in the background and just when you close and open them. But
the point I'm bringing up, though, is this, right? In the vein of full contact IT, if I find that process, screw my end user. Let's kill it.
So what I have discovered is for the advice we give on the webcast, they would like us to be a kinder, gentler admin.
What?
So if I was building this myself, it would just be check for process and kill it, and you're done. But then you run into the risk if the user's going to come in and restart it and cause all the problems. So
good point.
This is just kind of a way just to check to see if it's running, you could just exit out. And you have that note where you can go back in and find out later, or talk to them, say, hey, we agreed via the email that you read that you would not have this running at this time.
That kinder you is just, yeah.
I would like to propose to you that this time you follow through on your word. All right. So the other one, and this one kind of just ties into it, is just kind of a DoWhile. So in this one, in this case, if we went in there and said get process, or in this case I'm pinging, which is an awful example because if I'm deploying to it, it's pinging. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to deploy to it. But so we'll just pretend we got get process in here again.
Okay.
Because that one makes sense. Instead of just saying, hey, that's running, we'll just leave out there. It would just basically say do, and you can put a timer and have 1 second, but you could do 30 seconds or whatever. And it just every 30 seconds it'd look for that process, and then
With that, you could actually hold step 1, waiting for that process to be gone.
yeah. I mean, there's some caveats. You're going to want to put some sort of timer in there where after X number of attempts, which to do that you'd create just an integer and then you do
Increment.
$i ++ I think to increment it, and then it'd be while target ping succeeded, and I think or increment is less than the number you want. Looks like Kobe's about to correct me.
Or you could do a for loop.
A for loop, yes.
So-
The for loop for each one would go through
Yeah.
for that number of times guaranteed, and then just you need to have a break in that one if it was successful, if it did come back. And that way, for that one, you're probably going to want to adjust your amount of times you can deploy. Give it a little bit extra time because you might be in for a long wait. And you can just kind of let that run and give them an opportunity to close it down and run that for you. It's just kind of just some steps where you don't have to sit there and monitor and redeploy, just send it out.
So you could send a message, please shut this down, step 1. Step 2, wait for them to shut it down for, 8 seconds, and then shut it down for them. I mean, you could.
Yeah, I mean, if you could start the first thing off with pops up a message that
Yeah.
says, hey, I am installing this in 30 minutes. You had that long to do it. And then once they hit OK, it goes down to that one, starts that timer. Then after 30 minutes or X number of attempts, it kills it. You've warned them at that point. Kinder, gentler.
Kinder and gentler.
So I guess for this one, do we have any questions before we dive into kind of a real-world example?
Our first question is, can you specify multiple Active Directory domains and subdomains in PDQ inventory in order to add or scan computers? Sincerely, Paul Harrison.
Absolutely, you can. If you're doing an import and inventory, you can do just an Active Directory sync, and you can point to multiple domains in that one. You're just going to need credentials that work on each one on that one. So
Sure, a couple places you can do that. You can go and add them in credentials, so you'd add the domain and the credential for that domain. Or you can do it when you do your Active Directory sync. It'll bring it up, and you can add another domain there.
a domain there, yeah. So you're going to want credentials that work for each domain in your forest, but that absolutely can work. And that's where in inventory, having the use scan credentials when you deploy, it comes in real handy, because if you're scanning with ones that work for that domain, deploy is automatically going to find those and run it. You don't have to specify a specific one. So it actually becomes pretty intuitive once you set it up. It works really great. So I guess we decided what we're going to show is, let's say we wanted to make a company default PDF reader of Adobe DC. I'm not impugning the good name of Bluebeam
I just want to say this. I made that decision last night, this morning before the web show.
Based on the alphabet?
Yeah. If they want to be up front, they need to AA Ron's PDF reader or something like that. But yeah.
All right, so the first thing, we want to find the ones that have PDF readers we don't want. In this case, Bluebeam and Foxit. Lex went ahead and built this for me because I only had 2 days left and I just couldn't complete it in that time.
Basically, you're saying if it doesn't work, it's his fault.
That's right. If everything's broken, just it's Lex's fault, as usual. As usual. I'm getting good at throwing people under the bus.
Dude, that hurts because it's true.
So we have that. That's just kind of, now we have the ones, these have readers that we do need to remove. Now we the install we have for you, the Adobe DC, you can just go through and use ours. You have update and the install. And then what you're going to need is, let's say you have a group policy that sets defaults. Like you set the default PDF as Adobe. You set the site list that Adobe has. I think I'd know more about that. I just edited a blog on that yesterday. But there's just settings within Adobe that your group policy might be doing. To be nice, because this is the kinder, gentler admin, we're going to attempt to check for that policy, make sure it's applied before we do it. So we make sure that if we remove their old ones, the new one has everything it needs to run so they don't have any downtime. So because everything PowerShell for me, we're going to go through and we're going to do a registry check with PowerShell. So this one starts off real complex. We're going to do a GPResult. We're specifying the computer. If you're looking for a user policy, you're going to have to run that package as the logged on user, and they're going to have to be logged on. Otherwise, it's going to pull the user policy for you. I'm just specifying computer just because everything we have in my theoretical setup here is computer, makes it a bit easier. And we're going to put that out into a file that we are then going to read with the stream reader. All right, and so we're going to start off with the assumption that the PDF policy is not applied, false. And then we're going to go down each line of the thing, and basically, if the line contains group policy objects are applied, it's going to set in applied policies equals true. It's just basically say everything from this point on is in the applied policies. And then it's going to go down through and it's going to look for, right down here, the policy PDF settings. That is a bad line. You know what, JJ, just be happy I'm using it, not that I'm using it well. All right, and then the next part down is it'll look for, if the line says, if the policies weren't applied, it sets the in applied policies to false and it skips that check. So that basically, if the policy you want is under applied, it's going to find it and it's going to set a variable as true. All right, and then cleanup. I sometimes like to just leave files open and being read on machines.
Willy-nilly, just...
You know, I just send a deployment every day that starts reading a file, and then I never close them.
You never close, just
and
leave it
and
open?
I see how long it takes for the computer to become unstable. So here we're closing the reader, and then we're deleting the file we built.
Okay, question for you. I mean, we did something very similar a couple of years ago where we tattooed the registry. Is there a reason we chose differently?
So every time, even when we've shown tattooing the registry, we've said, this isn't ideal, we don't like it, it's not best practice. If you don't have a cleanup in there, you're leaving artifacts behind. It's just not great to mess with registry in the first place if you don't need to. So what we did this time is, instead of doing all that, we're just building a file named policy applied in the runner service. So it puts that where we're running the deployment from. So once the deployment ends, that deletes that file and includes the file we built. So it's kind of, instead of having to worry about something and clean up and using something we shouldn't, it's just going to build a file that's going to delete for us at the end of the deployment, which is, I think, a better version to do that. I know sometimes we do have the tattoo registry, but every time we hate it, it feels like a loss.
Feels like we've done it. We gave in.
Yeah. Oh, someone in the chat said tattoo equals hack. Hopefully Shane's in the chat.
Watching.
Yeah. I love that. All right, so now that we have kind of our PowerShell script, we're going to build just our package here to kind of showcase putting it all together. I'm going to move my hands some more.
I love it.
Right.
So, okay, ultimately, we're trying to come up with a package that's logically, it's going to make sure the GPO's there. If it is, it's going to go clean up everything we don't want.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, so first thing it's going to do is going to, if there is no Adobe DC installed, it's going to install it. If there's an old version installed, it's going to update it. Then it's going to check for the policy, and if the policy is applied, then it is going to then remove all of the old versions. If the policy is not applied, it's going to then cancel out from there, and we'll put some sort of message in there to say, hey, make sure this policy applies. I suppose you could put a step after or before that does a GP update and forces that before you run that to see if that works. Since we are trying to remove the hands-on thing, I move my hands a lot. I
was going to say karate style.
All right, so the first step, we're going to do the install Adobe Reader. Come into the conditions, and this one is where, because I did nested, so I have to go into the actual package itself. I'm a thinker.
SMRT, baby.
SMRT. Because it is an auto-download one, so makes it hard to put a condition on that one.
Well, you can do it at the package level.
Yep.
At the package level?
Yep, head back and...
at the properties. There we go. I'm glad you guys are here. All right, so we're going to say is not a member of, and we're going to go find the collections. PDF app, readers, Adobe Reader, and we want DC, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
All the, because that will include, we only want if it's not installed at all, right? So Adobe DC not installed is what we want.
If it's not a member, it depends on what you're picking. Remember, you got
So I want
logic
to
here.
pick is a member of not
Yeah,
installed.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you'd think that this is the first time I'd been up here.
Gotta love logic, man.
All right, so we have that there. It is, if it is a member of not installed, then this one will run. We'll save that. So the next one is the update. We're going to come back in. Before it's too late, I'm actually going to name this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Time out. Have you been talking to Colby? Naming stuff?
Yeah.
Knowing what you're doing?
I say Colby's not my supervisor, but I end up doing what he tells me anyway. All right, so
I try to, but
well, you, I'm fine to ignore. I'm comfortable with that.
ouch.
So the next one we're going to go through, we're going to find the update for the ones that are out of date. DC patch. It's almost like this was prepped for us.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No way.
All right, and because once again I didn't do enough prep, I'm going to go into the conditions of the patch, and we're going to set is a member of the out of date Adobe Reader old. Here we go. This is why I make the medium bucks right here. All right, so the next thing that's going to go through, we want to do that no matter what. We want to install if they don't have it. We want to update if it's out of date. We absolutely just want to do that. So now we're going to go through. We're going to add the PowerShell step where we're going to start doing our tests. So find the logic package of logic. You know, at a certain point, is the naming worth it? Am I helping?
I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not even going to help you with that one, man.
Okay, so we're going to take the entire regcheck package that we were talking about there. And you're going to paste it in there. I could also just, point to that file that is saved and run it that way, but
What fun is that?
I didn't. Now I can see all these pretty words and I feel good about myself. Ooh. I wrote that. That was me. All right, save that. So we have that one. We want that one to run no matter what. On all the machines that it ran on before, we're going to run if the policy is checked. We did talk about maybe doing a GP update. We're fine.
Not
We're
today.
fine.
Not today.
All right, and so the next ones we're going to add are other pre-existing packages of the uninstall, Bluebeam, and Foxit. Like I said, this is not
Not picking on
condemning
anybody.
them.
We're
Yeah.
just, we had to pick something.
We should have named it Aardvark PDF.
There you go.
All right, so another nested package. Let's see here. We're going to come down to Bluebeam, and we'll just add both now, and we'll do the editing I didn't do after. New step of nested, and what I did Bluebeam the first time, right? I can read it. Bluebeam, nailed it. I have words. All right, so now we're going to come into Bluebeam, and this time for the properties, we're going to set the condition to. We're going to look for a file that does exist. The directory, just a period. We're looking in the file that it's running in. This is the runner service that we build on the deployment. And then I am going to go to PowerShell and figure out what I named the file instead of guess.
So that condition, you're looking for that file that says the GP, the one that we built with the PowerShell step, it's looking for that file.
Yep, so if it finds that the policy is applied, it is going to create a file titled policy applied. And make sure it didn't...
Okay, and in that case, the condition you're putting on is if that file exists, then we know
do want to do the uninstall.
we can do the
Yes,
uninstall.
we know the policy is
Okay.
applied. We're good to remove the old
I don't
stuff.
know why this is so hard for me to grasp today.
And-
It's logic, that's why.
And this one, I didn't even give the file an extension or do anything in there. If you can take this to a whole other level where you could put the data into a file, like all the data you want into that file, and then you could read through the file with a different PowerShell step. But in this one, we just created, we only need to know if it was applied or not, so it's just a file with no extension. All right, so there's the Bluebeam one. We'll go into Foxit next.
Can
What
you
do you
say
say
that with your
exists, right?
tongue twisted?
You gotta be careful with that one. And save that one. All right, so now if we go back to the back, if we're looking through all the steps we have here, we have everything we want. We're going to install on those that don't have it. We're going to update those that are old. We're going to check to see if the group policy for the PDF settings is there, and if it is applied, we are then going to uninstall. Boy, I'm nervous about running this one live.
That's a lot of moving parts, man.
There's-
It's betting time, Colby. What do you think?
Well, while I stall, do we have any questions? All right, I'll run it. What did I name it? Logic. So I don't need to open it. I want to run this one. So we're just going to run this against everyone. I think most of the machines have the PDF, so it's going to skip that step.
We did do that this morning, didn't we?
Oh boy, I hope. Boy, I'm just going to say all computers just to make JJ uncomfortable.
Whoop. Are you doing it on all computers?
Yep. Should I not?
No. Have you already done it?
No.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm already running the risk on things. What's the worst that could happen?
That's the worst. You did take Rick Sanchez out of that group, I hope.
Okay, yeah. Well, so which ones am I removing?
Anything that says microverse, Rick Sanchez,
Yeah,
anything that JJ would shake his fist at you for.
I see that WKRP.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
All right. Oh,
Ooh.
my bell. All right. So we got rid of those ones. We got rid of the Rick Sanchez. Any others you'd like me to remove?
I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
Kinda. Glad I'm not the one pushing the deploy button on this one, but
If especially for the uninstall, if we wanted some extra security, we did build that collection that says this one has the
That's
ones
a
we
good
uninstall. I could point it to that collection, so it has to be a member of that collection. You know what? I'm
yeah,
gonna
let's
cancel
do
out of
that.
this. I'm going to go do that.
Let's do that. I think that's a smart idea today.
All right.
File has to exist and it has to be part of that collection before we start taking down machines that keep this running.
All right. So which one I was doing that? We're doing that for the Bluebeam.
Bluebeam and the did we just do Bluebeam or are we uninstalling
Bluebeam and Fox. Yeah. So we're going to keep the file part. That's there, but we'll point to is a member of the collection because apparently Lex is feeling a little bit squeamish.
You know, don't want JJ to have to kill us.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Looks like I just proved your whole full contact IT was a lie.
Ow. Well, it's full contact IT. I just know JJ had kicked my butt.
Yeah. He can't punch from Florida.
That's a good point too.
Oh, he's going to be in town like a week.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to be super careful. All right. Now we have both those conditions. So
Are you feeling
Lex
better?
feels better.
I'm feeling better.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm putting it on you, but I feel better too. And once again, I don't want to edit that. I want to deploy that.
Are you after you deploy that? I got a question for you.
Okay.
Is it gone?
Just go ahead. It's going to take me a while to get the target. So.
Oh, okay. So, PowerShell. You did a PowerShell step to look for the GPO.
Mm-hmm.
Could you have done like a PowerShell scanner looking for that?
A PowerShell scanner look for?
Yeah.
Looking for the file?
Or well, maybe if you look for the GPO and then write it into like, I was thinking you could PowerShell scanner and put it in inventory and then make another collection, couldn't you?
So yeah, I could absolutely if you put like a scan step where it does that PowerShell scanner that goes and looks for that file, that would work. But then we're just adding extra steps. We're basically instead of just saying, is this file here? Then we're scanning for something and then saying, is this a member of a collection? It's going to come up with the same result, just with an extra step that's not really necessary.
So this is a little more efficient.
Yeah. So as much as I do love PowerShell, maybe in this one case, I won't do it.
You won't do extra step just to have some extra PowerShell?
Yep. All right. I'm going to deploy this once, and I believe the machines I had up earlier did have the process in place. So I'm going to open up that service and see if that pops up. He said with all of the confidence that I've ever had. Let's see, what is that? C Windows. Admin Arsenal. All right, and deploy runner. So while this is running, hopefully once this starts running, we'll sit here and queue that one. Where are these running? I'm going to by name so I can find out. So this one is still queued. Can we do you have a question we can take while this is running?
We certainly do. Our second question of the morning is, if a package has two installers, 32 and 64-bit, each with the bit condition, what is copied to the target computers? Both files or only the condition matching one? Sincerely, Marcel.
So that depends on, I guess, when the condition. If it's basically saying 32 or 64-bit and it cancels before it runs because it didn't meet the condition, it's not going to copy anything over. If it finds something while it's already running the deployment, it's over there, it's gonna copy everything. All right, and it looks like while we're doing that one, my service ran, the deployment finished running. So We'll see if we can find it on a different machine here. If not, we'll just look at the output logs. I am as confident as I get that this worked.
You're as confident, and you're just sitting there chuckling. Well, okay, so what are you expecting to see on, let's say, Noob or something? Should we take a look at Noob?
Yep, we'll say Noob. And Noob should have just run steps 4 and 5 for the uninstall, and then something that doesn't have it should have said file did not exist. So let's take a look. If I figure out how the alphabet works.
I have no idea.
Yep, so on this one, Noob, step did not run due to collection membership condition. The reason it went so fast is because it already has the latest Adobe Reader installed.
That's cool.
So it skipped through those ones. And so it is here, and then one failed because of the condition. And resume Noob. Let's take a look at Toxic Rick. If I can find it. Once again, that alphabet. Not run for condition. And you can see here, file exists, policy applied, failed. So Toxic Rick did not have the policy applied to that one, and it kicked it out of there. But Noob did find the file, went down, and it went down to check the collection next. So I'm telling you, I'm only seeing one failure on this one, and it looks like Adobe failed to install.
So basically, our logic took care of, in regards to Toxic Rick and Noob,
Yep.
the GPO wasn't applied on Toxic Rick, so the install is okay because it was already there, and it didn't uninstall anything because the GPO was not there.
And we'll open up the command prompt and we'll take a look at the policy and see if we're right here. If it shows up when I run the policy, well then we've got issues.
Got some logic backwards. And I love making smart packages, and just for the fact that I get so much done in a package to take care of any prerequisites, to take care of any of the little things, so that I don't have to think about it. I know when this package goes out, it's going to just take care of everything I need.
Yep. All right, so apparently I need to look at my logic because PDF settings is applied to Toxic Rick. Mm-hmm. So let's come back to the deployment.
One thing I think may have happened is that the directories within the runner, those get deleted in between steps.
I'd never run into that before.
So when I've done similar stuff to this, you need to place any temporary files 2 directories up, because that
Okay.
I think it's like service1 exec folder gets deleted in between.
So-
but the overall runner folder stays until the end of the deployment.
Okay, I did test it without nested step, so I'm wondering if it's not a nested step, if it keeps it in there till the end, and nested step deletes at the end of it.
Maybe
If that one?
it's been a little while since I've messed around with
Yeah,
it.
because this one, this morning, I created the file with that one, and then the next one was a sleep step for 2 minutes, and then I went through and found it, and it was still there for the sleep step. So I'm wondering if it's just the nested one. So in that case, if you're using nested and you have to do it, then instead of just dot, you're going to want to be a bit more specific. I guess you said you want to do two up.
Yeah, 2 directories up, so you can do .. /..
That's 3 dots. So you use ... like oh, you can see the screen just like that.
Yep,
All right, so that one, should we try running on Toxic Rick again and see if that one worked?
sure.
All right, first I guess where I should put that is in the actual
Package.
package I built. And if not that, then we just know that I did my logic wrong. Which, me?
What?
Me?
I love doing these live, because when stuff doesn't work, it's like, all right, this is the troubleshooting portion of today's.
Yeah, which is weird because like this morning on multiple machines I tested, it was working great for me.
I'm with you, man.
All right.
Something about being live on camera. I think physics stops working
You will also need to update your conditions.
to look in the right
to
folder.
be the ... Yes, thank you. Let's see, conditions. Well, no, that's the next step down. In the Bluebeam and the Foxit.
Yep.
All right, so conditions, properties. I'm getting there. I've done it a few times, and one of these times I'll learn what I've done. So instead of just dot, we want to do the same thing, ... /.. for Bluebeam, and then for Foxit. Well, I'm glad we could learn something together as a group this time.
It's the best
Want
way.
to take a look, Kobe? That look right to you?
I think so.
All right. And then I guess we'll just deploy this against, what we say, Toxic Rick failed?
Toxic Rick, yeah.
So deploy once to Toxic Rick. Rick J. All right. And hopefully on this one I'll go through and we'll actually see the results we want. And now I know test exactly as I'm going to be running it live, not similar.
Well, what fun is that? That takes away all the uncertainty.
That's right. I think most people tune in to watch me fail.
Well, you do it
So this one,
well.
no, it still says it doesn't exist, so I need to check my logic. Policy applied. Man, this is frustrating. Like normally if I don't test it, that's on me, but
Ultimately, right? I mean, what we're trying to do is this: make sure that you clean up afterwards, right?
Yep.
Whether you clean up you de-hack the registry. Is that a way to say that to piss off Shane? Unhack the registry.
Unhack the registry, yeah. the best registry is a never hacked registry.
A never hacked one. Or again, in this case, you could put it in a temp folder and just make sure your last step is clean up that temp folder too.
Yeah, and I just copy and pasted policy applied, so I know the name works. So exists is in there. I guess I should check the logic of my PowerShell if Chrome applied, so if it is true, right? So my only thing I can think of is if I have a typo in my variable and that's not grabbing correctly. Let's take a look here. So PDF.
You're looking at me for help with PowerShell, Jordan?
Just in the general area.
Oh, okay.
So Kobe's in the same area. PDF GPU applied. I had the variable wrong.
Whoopus. I hate that when that
PDF.
happens.
All right. So apparently I corrected that and then didn't save it. So all right. I guess I'll go change that and we'll try it one more time with Toxic Rick just to prove I'm not completely insane.
A quick plug for Visual Studio Code because it would have detected that.
Yes, it would have. I feel judged now. Is that what you're going for?
You should, dude.
I should. Well, you know what? I'm happy that it's a me mistake
Well,
and not a process mistake.
Well, again, there's a lot of moving parts. So, again, when you're testing, we test down through the parts, and obviously, this one happens to be an easy one to miss, I think. You don't see me up there typing. Heavens no.
Yeah, so basically the reason that failed, it basically said if a variable I never created has the value of true, then do this. And
I love it.
yeah. All right, so now I'm still not confident because I have messed up a lot today.
Toxic Rick.
All right, while we wait for my impending failure, do we have any other questions? All right.
Our third and final question of the day is, does the PDQ Inventory Collection condition need to be edited if the collection is renamed in inventory? What if the collection is deleted and recreated with the same name? Yours truly, Gandalf.
So I believe that it is based off of the collection ID, so renaming shouldn't impact it, but if you delete and build it with the same name, you will have to repoint it to it at that point. And once again, it did not show up.
It did not show up.
Did not show up. All right.
Are you throwing in the towel? Did I just see the towel fly
No,
over?
I'm going to attempt to go back just to the dot backslash just
Okay.
to see that one. Because it should work. He said, should in the sense of me believing something should work.
I've got faith in you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I have never heard that before.
Words of encouragement. Do you need affirmations?
Boy, not if they're like mine. And then we got to modify Foxit as well. All right. And just for giggles, I'm going to open back up and make sure I actually saved the variable name change.
What, checking your work this time?
As much as I do. PDF GPU applied. I'm just going to copy it and paste it over that one. Okay. and doesn't even ask me to save it, so apparently it was the same.
Nice.
All right, we'll give this one more shot, and if not, I'll take a look at my logic and figure out what I broke between
This morning and now.
9:15 and now.
Confidence. I want to see the look in your eye of confidence.
Boy, did you come to the wrong place.
Smiling, believing.
Confidence. You know what? I believe I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, I'm pretty sure someone out there, a person, likes me.
What? You got a great beard.
I do. I do like my beard. All right, so step 4.1 is actually copying over and running, so it's actually uninstalling now.
Score.
We did it. So the issue was not with the logic. It was I didn't update a single variable, which, as Colby said, VS Code is going to catch that for you, which is why I should be using that. It is uninstalling. My goodness, what a dumb mistake.
Well, it's common though, man. I mean, how many times I change code and I have to send it to you and you just start laughing at me?
You know, to keep
Which is every time, I know.
to keep it within the theme of the subject, when it wasn't working, I used logic to figure out that the mistake was probably mine. So I went straight to my code, and now we got a solution.
So,
All right. So that's right. I was hoping that I could showcase that the condition went, but uninstall's taken a while on that one. But I mean, it wouldn't be uninstalling if it wasn't working.
Yep.
It means the condition's passed, right? So hopefully, when you write your scripts, use VS Code, update your variables so you're better than mine. And hopefully this gives you a couple ideas on there's something if you're looking for like an entire change in your environment and you want to be a bit more cautious. This helped us. We were able to check, make sure the settings were there that we wanted. We did logic to find out that we were deploying to the right areas. It's just we built one package that handled all those steps instead of doing it piece by piece. And hopefully it will save you time if you do your PowerShell right. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's a lot of useful information in there. Ignore my stupidity in the middle part. Just watch the beginning and the end. You're good to go. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you for another lovely Thursday full of live troubleshooting. What could be better? Thank you to our winners. We've got Paul Harrison and Gandalf. Shoot us your information at webcast@pdq.com and we'll get you something cool. Have a lovely Thursday, everybody.